There you go.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Shukri Wrights Podcast with your host, Shukri Wrights. Listen, I waited an awfully long time to do this, but this guest here needs no introduction whatsoever. I'm just going to be honest with you. The man, the myth, the legend, and the man that's pissed me off so many goddamn times on Twitter with his insufferable trolling of Yankee fans, the one and only Jared Carrabis of Barstool Sports. Jared, what's going on?
How are you doing, man?
The mortal baseball enemy has finally joined the podcast, and I could not be more thrilled. Seriously.
I'm happy to be here, but you duped me. I didn't know that you were a Yankee fan this whole time.
What?
So here's the thing. Like, we follow each other on Twitter.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't look at my timeline.
That makes
sense. When I'm up there watching the games, like, I'll follow people that I like as sort of like all right, welcome to the club, like you're in. But during baseball season, I'm looking at do you use TweetDeck?
No, I never even heard of it. What is that?
All right, so TweetDeck, like if you create Twitter lists, so it's like I'll put like all the accounts that tweet baseball highlights in one column. I'll put another one that tweet all the college baseball highlights in another one. You got your mentions in another column, and then you can have I have like a Red Sox column, so it's like all like the Red Sox people that I follow. So it weeds out all the bullshit because it's like, yeah, there's definitely people I follow where it's like, I don't need to know what you had for lunch today. Gotcha. I just don't. I quite simply don't care. So you're filtering in only like for me. I've got a column for Red Sox tweeters. I've got one for MLB videos, college baseball videos, and then my mentions. So if people ain't tweeting me, I don't see it. That's pretty much how it goes.
Hey, listen, I'm not taking it personal at all, but yeah, I didn't do it to try to dupe you, as you put it. Like, rather, I said, listen, I'm a Yankee fan, lifelong Yankee fan. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put this out there now so that the people of Boston actually freaking know. So this is not some surprise when I'm on the radio like, oh, my God, this guy's a Yankee fan trolling us. Play, like, shut up. You knew already because I've been tweeting about this for a while. So this is not news. But with that being said, congratulations on the sweep over the weekend. Although it made me fucking sick to see Garrett Cole get his lunch handed to him on Sunday. But with that being said, how are you feeling about the Red Sox today in terms of where they are and where you think this team is heading, especially now we're about to enter July, once we get past the All-Star break?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I wasn't ready to say it probably until like last week, but I feel like now it's their division to lose. And I feel like it's less about the Yankees and more honestly about the Tyler Glasnow injury. Like if he's out, like if he's out for the rest of the year, I mean, who in this division is stopping the Red Sox? I mean, they've already handled the Yankees. They might not even make the playoffs at all. I mean,
I don't think they are.
The way that they're going, it's crazy. It's I mean, they were the favorite to represent the American League in the World Series. And now look at them. I don't understand it. And we can talk about the Yankees on their own right. Yeah. I don't know where you stand on Aaron Boone. I don't get all the Yankee fans who are like, fire this guy. You think if you fire Aaron Boone that like magically the team's going to be better? No. Like you should be pissed at Cashman. You should be pissed at the roster construction. You should be pissed that he didn't protect Garrett Whitlock. He just went to the Red Sox for free. You should be pissed that they tried to save salary and they sent Adam Ottavino, who shoved a 4-out save up your ass over the weekend in a sweep.
Don't
like
fucking remind
this
me.
team, like a lot of what you're looking at with the Yankees failures, that's on Brian Cashman. And people like, it's just so easy as a baseball fan to be like, oh, the team's bad, fire the manager. Okay, well, is it the manager's fault? I don't know. I would say if you fired Aaron Boone today and did nothing to fix that roster, that the Yankees still don't make the playoffs or like their season doesn't necessarily recover. But as far as the Red Sox go, I knew that they would be good. I didn't think that they would be this good. I didn't think that they would be first place good. I thought that they would be like the little engine that could good. Like when we get into August, September, and it's like, could they go on? Like, you know, they're hovering around. They're on the bubble. Like, could they get hot and kind of sneak in at the end? I didn't think that we'd be talking about potentially a division title this year, which at this point, I think it's their division to lose. I do.
I have a lot to say in terms of the Yankees perspective. And I called into Felger and Maz yesterday, and I posted a video on Twitter. And I'm going to start by saying the following. Boone and Cashman both have to go. And it's not a quick fix answer or solution that you would think or expect to come from me as a Yankee fan. But what I've seen the last 3 years since they decided that they were not going to bring back Joe Girardi after the 2017 ALCS, which we all know Houston cheated their asses to get to the World Series and win it all. That's a fact. That's not even an opinion. But what I've seen is this. Is Aaron Boone a good manager? Yes. But when you get to October, and I've seen this now for 3 straight Octobers now, and it's maddening beyond belief that this team suddenly can't hit. It can't hit elite pitching when it gets to October. It could hit during the regular season, but October is like something just changes. Now, in terms of Cashman, and I'm with you, Cashman deserves a lot of my ire right now because of this reason here. Roster construction is huge. If you are going to sit here and sell me that, well, the Yankees are the Bronx Bombers and not the Bronx Bunters, I'm going to look at you and say, sir, you need to get your head out of your fucking ass. Because I'm sorry, I hate to do this, but go back to Joe Torre's years. What made the Yankees so successful then wasn't the home run hitting. It wasn't. They played National League style baseball. Hit, move the runner over, bunt the guy over, take your base, walk, doing all those things. Something that you don't see with the Yankees. More or less baseball. It's become swing and a miss or high drive, deep left field, gone. Like, it's become that kind of sport now. But with that being said, there are some real harsh truths with the Yankees that I feel that Cashman has to be looked at. Boone has to be looked at. And where the hell is Hal Steinbrenner in all of this? Seriously. Can you honestly tell me? And I'm asking a lot from you at this moment to be unbiased, just for a moment.
I'm always unbiased.
Good one. But honestly, as a Red Sox fan, what are you seeing from the outside in terms of what is wrong with the Yankees right on this season? Because this is not just a 2-week stretch.
Yeah, so I think it goes back to before the season, how I mentioned, the Ottavino thing, trying to save money, and then it's like, what do they do with that money? It's like, oh, they signed who? Justin Wilson,
yeah,
hasn't done dick. They brought back Brett Gardner, who's just an absolute hole in that lineup.
I don't get it.
I don't know why. I mean, they could have signed Kyle Schwarber with that money, and they signed Brett Gardner to bring him back. Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, to your point, when people do think about those old Yankee teams, they remember how potent the lineups were, but they did a lot of fundamental things right.
Yes.
If you're gonna hit the 3-run homer, you do need that guy that's going to take the walk. You do need, if you're going to have a double in the gap by Gary Sheffield. Well, how did the runners get to second and third? Oh, we have a little blue pit to right, and then you move the guys over, and they used to do everything right.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a Yankee team that if they don't hit home runs, they're not scoring runs.
Yep.
And they're not hitting home runs. So they're not scoring runs. I want to say they're third to last in the league in runs scored.
Yeah.
How are you going to be the Yankees and be third to last in runs scored and have a negative run differential?
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that even if you had mediocre pitching, is still going to have a plus 55, plus 60 run differential by this point of the season.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing about how great the Yankees pitching was. Corey, I mean, I don't know if you're one of these guys, but the Yankee fans this year that have celebrated these fluky accomplishments like championships, fucking crazy.
I can't.
The triple plays. Oh my God. The triple plays and the Corey Kluber no-hitter. Those things were celebrated here we come. Here come the Yankees. And it's you do understand that if you turn a triple play, you don't get extra wins for that. If you throw
no extra WARs or if
you throw a no-hitter, that doesn't make up 5 games in the standings. It's just a win. It's just one win. They had a triple play that did end up resulting in a victory. The other two, it's like, it's just cool. It's just cool to see those. So with this Yankee team, you know, I look at a guy like Aaron Judge, who actually, by the way, is having like a really good year.
Yes.
Like Aaron Judge is a dude that I looked at in 2017 when he was in the home run derby in Miami. And I was like, bar none, this dude is the face of baseball. Judging by, you know, the cartoon character, it's like the size of this dude, the presence of this dude, the market that he's in, his ability, even he was hitting 50 bombs in his rookie season. Like, this is the guy that is going to be almost like the anti-Jeter, where it's like, yes, he's in a big market. He's total opposite game of Jeter. And not that Aaron Judge is a dude that has like this vibrant personality, but he stands out in a way that Derek Jeter just didn't stand out physically.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, it's just, you look at this lineup and it's like, all right, guys like Gary Sanchez, cool, man. What are you going to do? Hit 200 and then you're going to like hit 30 bombs. It's like, cool, man. What do you do with all the other at bats? Because you know, you're not driving in runs. You're not getting guys over. You're not contributing. Like, if you hit a home run, that's great. That's awesome. But they play 162 games. So best case scenario, you're impacting 30 of them. Like,
and you know, to your point about being one of the fans who celebrate the small little victories, because I looked at them as small little victories. Listen, Corey Kluber's no-hitter, that was a special moment considering what he went through. You know, the injuries that he's went through the last few years.
But that was the other thing that kind of like made me cringe. Was I was watching some of these Yankee fans celebrate it, like, oh man, like everything that Corey Kluber's been through. It's like, motherfucker, he wasn't on your team for all that shit. Like, you've known this guy for 3 weeks. Like, you're like, oh man, Corey Kluber got drafted by the Yankees in 2011, and man, he came up through our system, and we saw him battle and fight for this. Like, Corey, we did this together. It's like, you didn't even give a shit about this dude 2 months ago because he wasn't on your team.
Don't you love the nature of Yankee fans? Like, listen, the Yankee fans are on Twitter, and I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm not on the degree of, oh my God, everything is overly glorified. But just taking a moment for what it is, I thought that Corey Kluber no-hitter was a meaningful moment for him. But as far as the big scope of the season, it was like great. But I need to see more from this team, because I'm not even a believer in this team being good enough to make the postseason, let alone make a run in October. Again, like offensively, the ground balls into double plays. If there was one
thing, good teams ground into double plays. Didn't you know that?
Jared, I absolutely wanted to punch this. I wanted to punch a fucking wall just 3 days ago when I'm like, dude, how many ground ball double plays are going to hit into? Like, you wonder why your team batting average is low? You wonder why your offense sucks? This is it. Your pitching staff isn't good enough to just score maybe 1 or 2 runs and win a game. Outside of Aroldis Chapman, which, by the way, he's having an outstanding year himself, like, this is not a pitching staff equipped to handle an offense that is performing at a beleaguered level like the Texas Rangers are. Hell, the Texas Rangers are even a better offensive team than the Yankees right now. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Like, I haven't looked at the numbers recently. I can check them out now. I would be curious to see what they're averaging for runs per game, because there have been some brutal offensive performances by this team. And I don't know how often you're checking like the playoff odds and the World Series odds.
I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about, okay, can this team get to September, at least still be in contention somewhere, somehow?
There are some bad teams grouped in here. Like, for example, the Baltimore Orioles are averaging more runs per game than the Yankees.
That's embarrassing. Wow.
Yeah. Right now, it's the Yankees, the Nationals, the Cardinals, the Marlins, the Tigers, the Mets, and the Pirates.
Wow.
Yeah, all averaging less than 4 runs per game.
This is absurd.
Bad. The Red Sox averaging 5 runs per game. They're one of 4 teams in the majors averaging at least 5 runs per game.
Like,
Astros,
I was
Blue
never
Jays, Dodgers, Red Sox.
I was never concerned about offense when it came to the Red Sox in 2021. Before the season started, I was of the firm belief. I'm like, listen, Offense, I'm not worried about. You still got JD Martinez in the middle of that lineup. Rafael Devers is still going to do Rafael Devers things, albeit lose the weight. He's gotten better defensively at third. And then the X-Men is Xander Bogaerts. I mean, he is quietly become, if not the best offensive shortstop in the American League. He's up there. The only reason why I'm not saying in baseball right now, because I still believe that Fernando Tatis Jr. is a step better than Xander Bogaerts. No disrespect to him at all. But I have to ask this question in terms of the Red Sox. Because at this beginning of the season, my concern was pitching. If you're hanging your hope on Chris Sale returning and being dominant, he will be back. But if you're expecting Chris Sale to be the Chris Sale of 2016 or 2017, before the injuries began to really creep in around 2018, then I don't think that's realistic. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's realistic to expect him to come back and be a guy that's going to just throw 6-7 innings every time out. But he's going to be a weapon.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, I was talking to some folks that have been closely monitoring the situation and have seen him throw and have looked at the data. And he's in a good place right now. And if they hold on to him for like another month before they unleash the fury, I mean, if he looks good now, I wonder what he's going to look like, barring any setbacks, when they're ready to let it rip. And I think that the Red Sox have always looked at this as this is a bonus. This is a benefit. If he comes back, great, but we need to build a team that's able to succeed, assuming that he doesn't come back at all. And if you do get him back, then you're like, well, oh fuck. Like now we've like got a little secret weapon here. But I think with a guy like Garrett Richards, which I don't know how to feel about this dude right now.
I was at last night's game, by the way. Yeah.
You were. Do you live in Boston now?
Yes, I do. I live in Brighton.
Boston?
Brighton.
Okay. Do you like it?
Love it.
Yeah,
and and also
yeah, you do.
And then whatever, Jared. But no, in all seriousness, no, like I was at last night's game, watched Garrett Richards pitch, and I'm thinking to myself, you were one of those people who were bitching about not being able to use spot attack. And this was the first time I seen him pitch live. And I'm like, man, this is going to be some fucking home run derby at Fenway 1999 as now in 2021. Yeah. What the hell am I watching? Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. I mean, dude, my first thought was, your pitches, they're not having the same movement. Because I remember his start against the Mets in New York at Citi Field, where he looked absolutely unhittable in that game. And that was at a point, if you remember, that Red Sox fans were getting on him like, he's the weakest link in the rotation. Oh my God, get rid of this guy. Like, now, take away the spot attack, and you're seeing a lot of pitchers begin to show exactly what they truly are, including Garrett Richards. So my question to you is this. Do you think it was a good thing that Commissioner Robert Manfred decided to step into the mess of it all and say, no, we're not, we're going to start cracking down on spot attack in the middle of the season? Or do you think, just like the steroid era, spot attack was actually a good thing for baseball?
I don't think it was a good thing for baseball. Like when you hear fans talk about, well, it's boring. There's no action. There's no balls being put in play. There's too many strikeouts. Like, you can blame Spider Tack for that. And I don't think it was a bad idea to step in mid-season. I just think it was a bad idea to step in mid-season without a plan. You can't just be like, all right, now we're snatching up all this shit and then go fuck yourself. Like, go figure it out. Like, you can't do that. I mean, like, people have been using sticky shit in baseball forever.
Exactly, like, since 1900.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, most of these guys, and Garrett Richards is the perfect example, is like, I need to teach myself how to pitch again. His press conference after the game last night, dude was like, yeah, so I just learned a change up 3 days ago because I was like, I can't throw my curveball anymore because I can't fucking feel the seams on the baseball. So like the big thing with me is trying to explain to people the difference between spider tack, sunscreen, and rosin and sweat. Like that combination creates a tacky substance that is actually used to grip the baseball so you can throw your pitches efficiently. Spider tack was used to increase spin rate to a point where those pitches were so nasty and unhittable that to me is cheating. Getting a grip on the baseball to be able to throw the fucking thing, that's been happening forever. That's been happening forever. And then they kind of just got smarter and were like, hey, if we use extra sticky shit, they can't touch this. They can't see it. They don't know it. It's a wiffle ball. Yeah. So with a guy like Garrett Richards, and I've seen Yankee fans try to make the comparison when we're talking about Garrett Cole, they want to counter with Garrett Richards. And I was like, first of all, Garrett Richards is not Garrett Cole. Second of all, Garrett Richards was using like whatever it was, the bullfrog sunscreen and rosin, and he was not using spider tack, because if he was using spider tack, his RPMs would be up the ass. And instead it's just like, well, no, I just suck as a major league pitcher. There's a big difference there. So like, again, I don't know how to feel about this dude, because I hate excuse making. Same. I hate it. Like, especially when the playing field is even. I could understand his case if Rob Manfred was like, you know what? Enough is enough. We're cracking down on Garrett Richards. Like, that's just not happening. Like, Rob Manfred was like, we're cracking down on this across the board. Everybody's getting checked.
Trevor Bauer included. If you saw the Giants-Dodger game last night, did you see that moment with him and Angel Hernandez, who's a fucking scumbag of an umpire? Oh, my, don't even get me started.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, my God. That guy finds a way to make everything about him. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? You stop him as he's coming off the field. You want to check his fingers? Like, shit, you might as well put fucking lube on these fingers for all I care about before he goes out to pitch. Like, are you shitting me? Like, Jared, this thing has gotten so out of control. You have fucking Sergio Romo, who throws nothing but breaking balls and sliders, getting ready to strip like he's a male stripper on the third base side of a baseball field. Like, God damn. What are we watching? Shit.
I love it. I love it. Baseball's a circus right now. They got to put a tent over the motherfucker. It is at the point now where, like, I will straight up be getting texts from, like, buddies of mine that they haven't watched a baseball game in 20 years. They're like, they're diehard golf fans and they're hockey fans. And they're like, dude, what is going on with your sport right now? And I'm like, I don't know, something about fucking Atlas, fucking what are those things called?
You're talking about
the Atlas Stones.
Oh yeah. Atlas Stones, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, something about fucking the whatever substance those roided up dudes are using to pick up the 400-pound Atlas Stones. I guess pitchers are using that to throw baseballs now, and the league doesn't like it, so now they're having umpires do strip searches and like the fucking TSA checks to every single pitcher as they walk off. It's a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. It is.
God.
It is.
Man, listen. I love Boston immensely.
Yeah, you do.
And like, I know I do. How about you? Are you in Boston? Are you still down in New York right now?
No, I moved. I left New York last August, so I've been home for a year now.
One day, and we'll talk more about this off recording, but one day soon enough, we gotta link up for a beer and even for a Sox game, because
let's that Yankee series. I want to say it's, so we have a live show July 22nd.
Oh, that's perfect.
At Kowloon.
Oh yeah, and I love Kowloon's. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. I want you to come to Kowloon for that show. It's Red Sox Yankees.
Say no more. I'm there.
And we're doing a live show before the game, and then they have the drive-in movie screen.
I know what you're talking about.
They're gonna put the game on that, so it's gonna be like a watch party / live show, and then it's a 4-game series. So that's Thursday night, and then there's still Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll do the live show, and then let's do a game that weekend.
Well, absolutely. I'll be happy.
I'll take you to the Rocket Box.
I'll be there. You got my word on that, brother. Done. And in continuation now I want to go on a more national scale because this has been some fucking year in baseball already.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a tweet about this about several weeks ago. I compared this year prior to the whole spider tag bullshit to 2010. If you remember, we were seeing pitching records being set, no hitters, perfect games, and pitching being the name of the game that year. Hell, I mean, that's how the San Francisco Giants won the World Series in 2010 with that rotation with freaking Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain, you know, and a young Madison Bumgarner. I'm sure we may have heard about that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was there.
Oh, wow. But now you look at the sport and you look at what's happening, especially the young stars. You look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is right now tied with Fernando Tatis being two of my favorite young players to watch in the game right now. What's your thought and general feeling regarding the young stars of the game right now and where this sport is heading? Do you think that this sport is in the good hands of young stars such as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr.?
So I personally think that we've never seen more talent in the game at the same time at their peak.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and look at it, there might have been maybe one other era where there were this many players who are 25 or younger that were historically this good by now. Like maybe it's like, all right, well, obviously like there's like a bunch of Hall of Famers playing against each other at any given time. Fine. But when we're talking about like 23 and under, Tatis, Soto, and like Vladdy, like those dudes doing what they do. And not only that, but throwing a guy like Shohei Ohtani and what he's doing, it's like you've never seen this shit before. And that's why, you know, you feel so helpless as a fan. You want to just like run in there and be like, baseball, stop embarrassing yourself, like with the fucking spider tax shit. Now you got the fucking the TSA checks after every inning. It's like, this is what people are now talking about instead of the fact that you have all these young stars that are historically great. You can bring out the historical comparisons to like, all right, this dude's 23 and he's doing this. The last time that was done was back in 1940, whatever the fuck, because Ted Williams did it back then. Like, like you have so much talent right now. And I know that everyone wants to say, well, the NBA promotes their stars better than anyone else, really. But like, obviously better than Major League Baseball. But I feel like the NBA players care more about promoting themselves. Like, it's not like the NBA is this big fucking mastermind marketing agency. It's like those players care about marketing themselves, and like they have their own sneakers and their Instagrams have fucking billions of followers. And Major League Baseball players, like how many fucking followers? Like I probably have more Twitter followers than Mike Trout. Like I don't even
Which
like.
Is
there's
shocking.
Yeah, like there's like you go around the league. Like Fernando Tatis Jr., like how many Twitter followers do you think Tatis has?
Probably about 1 million. It's got to be close to 1 million. It's got to be. In fact, I'm gonna check it out right now.
129.5 thousand. I have more than twice the amount of followers
as
Fernando
crazy.
Tatis Jr.
Wow.
Which is stupid. I'm a blogger. I'm a podcaster. Like I should not have. Like I should have at most 1/20th of the following that this dude does. And I'm sure he's bigger on Instagram. I haven't like Instagram for like I've noticed is something where you would have like Major League Baseball players have way bigger followings on. Yeah, he has 1 million. He has 1 million on Instagram. That's great. That's great. Cause that's the dude that people should be like, he's good. He's got a personality. He's got the look.
He's got the flair.
Package.
Like,
he's good and he's on a good team. Perfect package, and he's in a great city. Who the fuck wouldn't want to go to San Diego to watch a baseball?
I was thinking about it. You know, it's a perfect fucking segue because I was thinking about it when I was in LA just a couple of days ago. I was like, I really want to go down to San Diego to check it out, to check out San Diego, and as well as go to a Padre game because
Do it.
what's
Crowds are
funny is that
unreal.
and we're gonna talk about LA, is that when I was in LA the first night, my good friend Joe who lives in the LA metro area, he was telling me because we went to go get tacos. It's like 11:30 at night, and I'm telling you, those food trucks out there are unfucking believable.
So
It's
good.
unlike anywhere else in the world. And he was like, you should go down to like San Diego and check it out. I'm like, really? He's like, dude, it's only 2.5 hours away. I'm like, no, you're bullshitting. He's like, no. I looked it up. I was like, go on Amtrak. 2.5 hours. Like, it's close. That's easy. That's nothing. Oh my God. And then what made it ironic, he was like, dude, who the Dodgers playing tonight? I'm like, they're playing the Padres. That would have been perfect to have gone down to Petco Park and see the Padres because let's face it, it's not just Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, that team is fucking good. I mean, goodness grief, but LA, man, it's a vibe. It's a vibe.
I don't know what kind of vibe though.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about the beaches, I mean, it's a vibe. Like Venice Beach.
Yeah.
Wow. Where have you gone? Like when you've been to LA?
So I'm an indoor cat. I don't like when I travel, I don't like people will be like, oh man, so you've been to so many different cities. Like you got to make me some like restaurant or bar recommendations. I'm like, dude, I got fucking room service. I didn't go to any bars. I'm the worst when I'm hungover. So like, I know if I'm on a work trip and we've got to like get up and grind the next day, I'm not going out and like getting here. Cause I'm the type of dude where if I have one, I'm having 20. I can't just like have a beer. Like that's never been me.
It's either go big or go home.
Yeah. I'm all or nothing. But like in LA, I've obviously been to Dodger Stadium. I've done Santa Monica. So that was one of those trips where I actually got to like kind of like check it out because we did Christian Yelich it was like a celebrity softball tournament for his charity in 2020.
Nice.
And it was in Malibu, but like we stayed kind of like in the LA area. And I had some friends that like lived in Santa Monica. So I did the pier. I've never done the pier before. So I did that, like chilled at like some of the bars. But yeah, I mean, like I like that. I don't like downtown LA. Like I don't like the busy areas. And I know like the pier is busy, but like it's so spread out where
it is.
Like New York City is so congested. Like if you're downtown and like New York City, then I mean it's basically just like asses to elbows walking down the street. And like I hate that shit.
Now, when you say downtown New York City, meaning Lower Manhattan, or are you talking downtown?
Yeah,
Lower Manhattan. I tell this to people who have never lived there or isn't from there. It's not for the faint of heart, especially if you're commuting during like rush hour. Don't try to travel through the World Trade Center if you can't handle the crowd that's traveling through the Oculus, because it will get to you, especially if you're waiting for the path. If you're going to like fucking Hoboken or Jersey City or anything like that, forget about it. Good luck with that. But downtown LA, I'm kind of mixed on that. Like, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. As I was telling you before the recording, my big thing is, and I know this is an issue as like spread wide or whatever, but the homelessness, it really tugs at my heart, and I'm not even being a dick when I say this at all. Like, it makes me sad when I see that the homelessness is really something that's really pronounced. Like, I can't remember a city that I've ever visited that I've seen homeless people living in tents. Like, that's like a thing, like a legitimate thing. Like, whether if you're driving down 405 or like the 110 freeway, or you're walking through downtown at like midnight and you see the homeless people in like tents, and it's like, wow, like where do these people Like, do these people have anywhere like to go in a sense of, is this it? Like, I mean, it's heart-wrenching to see.
Mm-hmm. Have you been to San Francisco?
Not yet.
Oh, it's worse.
Really?
Oh man, yeah. Like you can there's homeless people everywhere in San Francisco. And like
Wow.
there's certain streets where you walk down, there's just like heroin needles all over the ground. It's terrible. Like San
Wow.
Francisco's got some dirty ass parts of it. Yeah. And LA, I mean, like, yeah, I feel like there's definitely some areas of like, but even like New York City, that's the thing about New York City
Mhm.
homeless people is like it was like zombie land. Like at least like those those homeless people were scary and they had personality. Like if
Yeah.
you're like you can basically like hop on the subway and you just see some homeless dude jerking off on a bench.
Literally, that's
Like
not an exaggeration, folks. It really
yeah.
isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, New York City homeless people. And then there was one time like because I had an insomnia cookie that was like 2 or 3 blocks from my apartment. So I'd walk there all the time and there would be like the angriest homeless man of all time because he'd be like asking people for money. And then if people just ignored him, he would like scream at them and like chase them around. Yeah, he was crazy. He was a crazy dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. This is not a surprise. Wow. It's more of like a yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Like New York's definitely got like a handful of those, but
Yeah.
um, but in terms of something a bit more lighthearted. Oh gosh, man. Listen, there's nothing like Boston. I admit it. I mean,
Say
yes,
it again.
I miss visiting LA. I was there for almost 5 days, and but being back last night, it felt good in a sense of being back in a city and in a region where they absolutely give a fuck.
Yeah.
Whereas in LA, I just get this feeling that they don't care as much because there's other options. There's the beach, there's the restaurants, there's like everything else, there's the entertainment. But here it's like, no, we give a shit and we're gonna let you know like our feelings about it, whether you agree with it or not. And that's the thing that I've come to love and appreciate about living in a city like Boston in particular.
Yeah, I think we went to the World Series in 2018 in LA, and the whole I guess like people bust their balls for they show up in the second and they leave in the seventh. That's not like a myth. They were doing that even in the World Series.
That's
Like,
sick.
yeah, like
Wow.
we got there like an hour before first pitch, and like you had Dodger fans filing in like the second, the third inning, and then it got to be the seventh, and they were like, all right, I guess we gotta go home now. And it's like, dude, it's the World Series,
Oh, that's
and
wild.
yeah, and in Boston, I mean, to your point, we don't have Broadway. We don't have like there's not like we have like the TD Gardens, but it's like most of the time that's Bruins, Celtics,
Yeah.
like sports. Like here, the athletes kind of walk on water, or not necessarily. I mean, like the great ones walk on water,
Tom
but
Brady.
if you don't perform here and the expectations are high, it's gonna be a tough life for you.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Kyrie. I mean, Pablo Sandoval.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember when the Red Sox signed, and I'm like, is he? Are you sure he's ready for Boston? Because I'm like,
No,
find out pretty
no.
quickly. I mean, his appetite snapped faster than his own damn belt. I
I
mean,
know. I wore that dude out. I wore him out, and then like Clay Buchholz. That was such a wild ride with Clay Buchholz. Like because he had great seasons, he had bad seasons, but
mhm.
again, he was one of those guys like Garrett Richards that would make excuses, or he just didn't know the right things to say in a press conference. Where and like that's what Johnny Gomes said. Johnny Gomes was like, "Hey, listen, the key to surviving playing in Boston is accountability. Like,
Yes.
don't make excuses. Don't dance around what happened. If you sucked, say you sucked. If you, and if people ask you why, just answer the question and just move on. And I remember Buchholz used to be like, he would give up like fucking 7 runs and he'd give up like a grand slam in the first inning. And then he after the game, he'd be like, well, I made a good pitch. Like, well, no, you didn't, because it ended up on the fucking Mass Pike. Like, that's not a good pitch. Like, it could have been better, I think. So, yeah, accountability is huge.
It's especially in a market where like everything in more ways than one is magnified. I mean, you play for the Red Sox, it's magnified. You play for the Bruins in a way, yes, because this is the ultimate hockey city in the country in the United States. It's magnified. College hockey here, for God's sakes, is fucking magnified. I mean, the bean pot, it's a fucking big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, every fucking winter, like it's a thing at the Garden. Like, or like I got asked every single year since I've been living here, shoot, when are you gonna go to the bean pot? I'm like, this actually just might. This is going to be the year that I finally go to a bean pot, because I gotta see BU and BC clash at it, the battle of the Commonwealth Ave, because they both can't stand each other. But everything here is like, in terms of sports, is magnified, and it doesn't help if you have some schmuck who underperforms and kind of takes things a bit for granted, better put it.
So who are your other teams? You're the Yankees, and who else?
Bruins, Celtics, Patriots.
So that's what threw me off. You were
I know.
At Fenway,
I guess people
wearing
guess
Bruins shit,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, so when I saw that you hated Sweet Caroline, I was like,
I fucking hate it with
my
a
guy
passion.
right there.
I fucking hate
too.
that.
I hate it, and so I was like, this seems like a situation where we've got a Red Sox fan who doesn't like Sweet Caroline, which is how I would describe myself. So how did you end up on the Bruins?
True story. I grew up loving hockey growing up in New York. In New York, you have the Rangers, which I respect and I admired, but their fan base is fucking insufferable. The Devils, I mean, the Devils were in the midst of their I can't call it a dynasty, but 95% dynasty, I would say. So like their games were like on FSN New York at the time, which is now MSG Plus, MSG, and so I grew up loving hockey. So I initially fell in love watching the Rangers and then like the Bruins via like NHL Game Center Ice and stuff like that. But before I moved here, I said, you know what, I'm gonna just pick one team. I've loved the Bruins since the days of fucking Marco Sturm, and like Mark Savard and Tim Thomas, like back in those days. And this is even when Bergeron first came on the scene, I was like, this guy has a chance to be something. We didn't know how much of a legend he'd become, but he has a chance to be something special. Bergeron was my guy, and that's how I fell in love with the Bruins. Like, I just narrowly missed the Pooh Bear era, which, I mean, Joe Thornton, I mean, God bless his soul, but the fact that he got traded in 2005 was the most criminal thing that I can remember as a Bruin fan, for sure.
Yeah, I used to be diehard Bruins. Like, back
what happened?
In the day. I don't know. I mean, I had Bruins season tickets growing up, and then the Red Sox got Pedro, and my dad was like, "Hey, I got good news and bad news." And I was like, "All right, give me the bad news." He's like, "We don't have Bruins season tickets anymore." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "The good news is we have Red Sox season tickets now." And I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah, sick." Because like I didn't play hockey. I played baseball, so I was more of a, like, to me growing up, it was like I obviously loved the Red Sox and I played baseball. I loved baseball, but like the Bruins were kind of like almost in a way what like professional wrestling is to me now, where it's like I can watch this and I can enjoy this because it takes me away from like playing baseball. Like, I don't have to think about playing baseball while I'm watching, wrestling. And I don't have to think about my job as like a baseball guy when I'm watching wrestling. It's just like, it's like a vacation mentally almost. And that's what the Bruins were, where it was like, yeah, like I'm playing baseball all the time, but I like to sit down and watch hockey. So yeah, I mean, I still obviously I love the Bruins, but like I can't claim them. I can't claim to be a Bruins fan when I'm just like 100% all in on the Red Sox and baseball. Like, I can't be, I don't want to be like a multi-sport guy, but I do enjoy watching the Bruins. I do still enjoy like going to games and everything like that. But I'd be lying if I said I still followed them. Like I don't watch every single, like I watched every single playoff game. I'll probably go to like a couple games a season, and like I know who's on the team, but I'm not watching the games every single night for sure.
Last question. Tell me about your journey to Barstool, and as well as podcasting, and like how did you end up in the position that you're in now?
So, I mean, how I did it was the advice that I give to people when they're like, I want to do what you do. You know, it's different now because like the way that I kind of did it was, it's not, I mean, I started off on MySpace. So yeah. How old
memories. I'm 29 going on 30 this October. How about you?
Okay. I'm 32. So
Okay.
you were probably at like the tail end of like the MySpace era.
Actually, around the same time, I was actually part of the Skonex age. You remember that from 2005?
What the hell is that?
Skonex?
Yeah, I never heard of
Skonex, AIM.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like, I mean, who didn't have AIM in high school? That was the perfect way to be a thought, if you will, in high school.
Exactly. Yeah. I spent many nights on AIM talking to the honeys. That's how you get it going. I think. So I started off on MySpace, started the blog, and I was 16. I was in high school, and like that's what, like when people come to me, they're like, hey, like what should I go to like get my degree in, and like what should I study and what classes should I take? I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you study. Like when I was 16, I was in high school. I just started it. I just did it, and I tried to get better at it every single day.
Yeah.
And eventually I swindled my way into having like a real website built for me. So I had like a real like .com website that I was blogging on. And then I met Dave in 2011 because he hosted the New England Sports Blog Awards.
Wow.
And I won best overall New England sports blog and best Red Sox blog. So I think I stood out to him then, and we kind of just kept in touch ever since. And 2014, they came around and they asked me if I wanted to be the Red Sox guy. So I was like, yep, sure. The next year I started Section 10. Like Section 10 is the second Barstool podcast ever. So that was like, it was KFC radio. And then Dave was like, yeah, like podcasts are not the future. He was wrong. So I just like the KFC radio was a thing, and I listened to it, and I listened to like Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. And I thought it was interesting to kind of like take that model and apply it to like the Red Sox and like Boston sports media world.
Yeah.
Where like Stone Cold was probably the first guy to interview wrestlers out of character, which I found fascinating at the time. Like he was interviewing the people, not the characters. So I was like, I want to interview like Felger and Maz and Kirk and like all these dudes away from their sports radio personalities. Like, so when I want to say it was episode 100, we had Felger on.
Wow.
And everyone was like, yeah, you kind of ruined it for me. Like you humanized him. Like he seems like he's a good guy. And I was like, that's exactly what I was trying to do by taking like the Stone Cold model and applying it to like the Boston sports media market.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it kind of just took off. And then a couple of years later, Dave was like, well, you know, Section 10 is great and all, but we need to go national. Like we need like a national MLB podcast. And Dallas Braden had gotten cut from ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
He came on Section 10 as a guest. We had chemistry. I was like, yep, this is the guy. And then now I'm doing the podcast with Dallas, and it kind of just it just kind of all went from there. But it's been crazy. It's been crazy, you know, the last 3 years in particular, to see like how much everything has grown and like the connections. I mean, I went from like, you know, yeah, I like the Red Sox to just pretty much inside and out, knowing everyone on the team, everyone in the organization. And then it's kind of expanded to like, I probably know at least one or two guys on every single team in the big leagues right now. So that's insane. That's insane to me, from like where it all started to where it's at right now. But it's been a fun ride.
Absolutely. And it's definitely been amazing to follow you on social media, on Twitter and whatnot. And definitely send me the details in terms of for the event in July, and as well as let's get this thing set up for to watch Yankees Red Sox at Fenway. come next month. It's been absolutely a thrill and an honor to have you on the podcast, Jared. And I definitely want to wish you continued success. And I will have you back on.
We're
as
doing
long
this
as
again. I was just about to say that. We're doing this again.
Absolutely. As long as your schedule permits, I'm 100% down. And thank you for coming on the podcast. And listen, looking forward to hopefully kicking your ass in the standings if that's ever going to be possible this season.
I can't wait. This was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I thought it was a lot of fun. You're great, by the way. Like, you're great at what you do. So whenever you want me back, let's do it. And I'm excited to I'm gonna go in on you though. Like now that we're boys, like I'm gonna have to like go in on you at Fenway. So that's gonna be
down.
like the badge of honor. Yeah.
Yes, that I
want you to give it back if the situation permits. Give it right back.
I fully plan to. Thank you so much. Send me the details, and we'll definitely message each other and whatnot.
Done deal.
Absolutely.